Yo, what's good? Today we're jumping into my top 5 fastest killing guns here in Modern Warfare 2. These are going to be some of the best guns in the entire game, so if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, those notifications turned on, and let's hop into our first gun. Our first gun we're taking a look at here is going to be the VASNIV 9K. This is the brand new CDL blueprint here, by the way, that I actually have on this thing. This gun right here is super awesome, and I've gone ahead and, of course, have tuned this so it actually has tunes, because obviously, you know, CDL players can't tune their guns. But here we go. Look at that, super efficient. I mean, it's got a great strafe speed. Now let's break the setup down for you. So here's giving my general overview. This is going to be largely a CDL based loadout that you guys are going to be able to really dominate here in pubs with. Obviously, this is going to be the best one that they use, but let's break it all down. So first thing, the Bruin Pendulum. So this is going to be great for that horizontal and vertical recoil control. We really like that. It helps stabilize the gun out here quite significantly, and it's really solid. For the tune on this, we actually have this at negative 0.59 and a plus 0.21 to really stabilize it out / make it a little bit faster. After that, we have the FSS Shark Fin 90. So this is a really good attachment because obviously you can see it gives your aiming idle stability with no cons, and we absolutely love that. The tune on this is going to be a negative 0.26 and a negative 0.23. After that, we're gonna go down here. We're gonna throw on that 45 round mag. We're throwing this on here because the CDL blueprint comes with 4 out of 5 attachments, and I think the one thing this gun could really use is an extended magazine for those public match multiplayer games. So we have that on there. Now going on back here, we have the True Tack Grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed, just once again making this thing a little bit faster. And then the tune on this is going to be a negative 0.42 and a negative 0.15. And then for our final attachment here, we have the O trees at stock. So aim walking speed and sprint speed, just making it a little bit more fast. And you're not really going to notice, of course, any of those, you know, penalties, the aiming stability, as you guys can see in the firing range there. It was a very easy gun to use, and the tune for this is going to be negative 3.23 and negative 1.16. So that's my full tune there for the VASNIV 9K. Now I got for you guys my tried and true super mobile, super agile M4 setup. This is a lot of fun to use. You can see the strafe speed's really solid on it. Let's actually show you guys how it fires. So very easy to be able to control. That muzzle flash in the firing range is a little bit much, but otherwise this is such an easy gun to be able to use, be able to control. This is just a very agile setup. Now here's my attachment overview for this gun, and this is one of my favorite ways to run it. It's really a lot of fun. I had a full video on it, but our first attachment here is going to be that high tower barrel. So bullet velocity, heat damage range, recoil control, and hip fire accuracy. This is just like the go-to, you know, premier barrel to be able to run on this gun. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.23 and a negative 0.25. Going on down, we have the phase 3 grip here for our underbarrel aiming idle stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. Really gonna help us out because, you know, whenever you make something super mobile in this game, you're really gonna fight and be able to control it. The tune on that is gonna be a negative 0.46 and a negative 0.23. After that, we're gonna go up in here. We're throwing on the FSS OLE laser, so ADS speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire. This is just such a great attachment. I mean, the only con literally is that people can see the laser, which I really don't personally care about. So I think this almost has virtually no cons, and it's such a good attachment. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.15 and a plus 0.2303. Keep in mind, this doesn't have to be like 100% precise, but within this relative area here is what you need to be aiming for. Going on back, here's the rear grip section. We have the Phantom grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. Just once again, speeding this thing up. You can run the X10 if you don't want to have to deal with that flinch resistance con, which you do get with the Phantom. The X10 will do the same thing as the Phantom, just do it a little bit less. But the tune on that is going to be a negative 0.61 and negative 0.15. And then for our final attachment up here, covered by my face cam once again, the Tempest P80 Strike Stock. So this is just really going to bolster our overall movement capabilities with this gun. I love being agile, and I hate that this game slows you down so much, and so you have to really build your guns out this way in order to be able to actually feel like you can move around. But the tune on that is going to be a negative 1.03 and a negative 1.01. So that is my full build there for this M4. Next up is going to be a gun I don't think a lot of you guys saw coming, and that is going to be the MX9. So this is a super highly mobile SMG. You can see you can run around with it super fast. Sprint to fire is great. I mean, this is just such a fun SMG that's really underrated, but I mean, look at that. It's literally a laser beam, and the only downside is that it only has 32 rounds in the mag, but other than that, it's really good. All right, so here's gonna be my general attachment overview for this gun here. Let's get into it. First thing is that 16.5 Bruin S901 barrel. You get that increase in damage range, hip fire accuracy, movement speed, and bullet velocity. I think that is an overall incredible barrel, like a combination of, you know, pros to be able to have. I don't really care as much about those cons. As you can see, it really did not affect this gun. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.16 and negative 0.08. After that, what we're going to do is we're going to go up in here and throw on the VLK Laser 7MW here, which is basically the FSS OLE. Same thing, different name. It does all the same things, but it's just a really good attachment, and I absolutely love running it. The tune on that is giving me a negative 0.18 and negative 18.10. Now we're going to go down here, and like I said, the only downside of this gun is that it has only 32 rounds in the magazine, which you do need that extended mag for. Otherwise, it's only going to have 25, which I think is pretty subpar, to be honest with you guys. So I'd for sure say this is a must-use attachment, and you guys need to be able to run that 32. Moving on back here to the rear grip, we have the Brewing Q900. So this is going to give a sprint to firing ADS, once again kind of bolstering our overall movement capabilities. I really like that. And the tune on that is going to be a negative 0.39 and negative 0.30. And now we're going to go back here for our final attachment, which is going to be in the comb section for the FTAC C11 riser. So basically doing the same thing, a sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. I just really like making my guns super fast, as you guys could probably tell by now. But the tune on that is going to be a negative 0.25 and a negative 0.08. So that's my full tune there. That's my full build there for the MX9. Super fun gun to be able to use. Next up, we're taking a look at one of my favorite assault rifles in the game right now, the TAC 56. I know this gets used a lot in competitive play, much like the VASM 9K, almost exclusively, but here's a great build for it. You can see it's just very, very little recoil. You can really just move around this here quite a bit. Good sprint to fire speed, overall good strafe ability. It's just a solid gun. And here's my attachment overview for the TAC 56. This is overall going to be a great one, super stable and very easy to be able to use. But first thing on here is that 17.5 Tundra Pro barrel, damage range increase, hip fire, and of course bullet velocity. We don't care as much about those cons because this is very necessary to be able to use, and I absolutely love running the Tundra barrel on this thing. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.13 and a negative 0.09. Let's move on down here though, and we're going to be running that FSS Shark Fin 90 because, like I said, it's going to have zero cons. Earlier when I was talking about on a previous gun like the VASM 9K, this has literally no cons, and it's just only going to bolster our aiming idle stability, which is something we really like. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.10 and a negative 0.18. And then we're going to go up in here. We're going to be throwing on that FSS OLE here once again. You guys kind of know the drill and what this does, so I'm not going to explain it, but you know, bolsters our movement. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.11 and a negative 11.52. And then we're going to go all the way back here to that rear grip section for that demo clean shot grip, sprint to fire speed, and aim down sight speed. Like, you literally can't go wrong when you run this thing on the TAC 56. It's just a fantastic attachment. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.52 and a negative 0.04. Some of these you really can't do much with, just because like you max out your benefit way before like the end of the slider, or sometimes incredibly early on before it starts negatively affecting the rest of the gun, which is kind of crappy. But for our final attachment, we have the TV Cardinal stock. So aim walking speed and sprint speed. Like I said, we're just trying to make this thing super fast, but the tune on that is going to be a plus 2.32 and a negative 0.93. So that's my full build there for the TAC 56. And for our final gun here today, we have the beautiful ISO Hemlock. This is such a good AR, and it's kind of a competitor to that TAC 56 and M4 here in multiplayer. But as you can see, great strafe ability, very little recoil, good effective damage range. I mean, overall, this is just a very, very solid gun here to be able to use. So you can't go wrong. For those of you that want to be able to see it, here is my attachment overview, but now let's get into breaking it all down. So first thing here is going to be that Harbinger D20 sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. A great attachment here since we're not going to be running a barrel on this thing, so this is really going to kind of bolster our, range, our ability to control the recoil at those longer distances, which there's not too many of those in multiplayer, but it still does help. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.27 and a negative 0.19. After that, got to go down here and once again run that Shark Fin 90, aiming idle stability. No cons. We love it. Love to see it. And the tune on that is going to be a negative 0.57 and a plus 0.23. And then now we're going to go up in here. We're going to be running a red dot sight on this, and that's going to be the Cronin Mini Pro. So I want you guys to keep in mind that you can run realistically any of these red dot sights here. It does not really matter, but the Cronin Mini Pro is that nice little blue dot, which I personally really enjoy. So that's the reason I'm going to run it. And also the ISO Hemlock iron sights really are pretty trash, to be honest. So that's why I don't really like it. So we're going to be running this. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.10, and all they maxed out at the bottom for that far distance to push that red dot sight as far away from us as possible, which is going to kind of help us with that visual recoil. I know there really is hardly any, but it's still going to minimize it a little bit and also make us be able to see more around our sight, which helps us, have better awareness. For our next attachment, though, we have the RCOM S4 stock for sprint speed and walking speed. crouch movement speed, and aim down sight speed. It's just a great thing here to be able to have on this thing, since this is multiplayer and it's not Warzone. We have to be faster, you know, with our guns. The tune on that is going to be a -1.16 and a -1.32. And then for our final attachment, we have the X10 grip here for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. So this is just one of those attachments that you can really, you know, speed the gun up here, and it's not like hardly going to affect it in a negative way. The tune on that is going to be a -0.58 and a -0.33. So that is that. That's been my top 5 for you guys here today. If you enjoyed it, make sure you guys give it a like, subscribe with those notifications turned on, and also check out these other videos here on screen. I would really appreciate that.